All right. We didn't get much accomplished during our experimental YouTube-only Counterfeit Monkey stream. What we managed to do was we went to the Maps and Antiques store, and we got a map that was left for us by our one of our partners in crime, and the weird thing was that the map's legend was not the chart that tells you what all of the symbols mean, but instead a story. And so we had to go to the fancy hotel, the Fleur d'Or, which had to have a special permit to keep its name in French. And in the hotel bar, the bartender has a homonym paddle, which she uses to turn things like rusty nails, screwdrivers, and gimlets into their respective drinks. And we also got her to turn the story legend into a proper map legend, which let us figure out where to go next. So it seems that our partner had an engagement to attend the demonstration of this letter inserter, but it seems he never actually made it there. So we went to the university that the Alex half of Alexandra used to be a TA at, and our mentor, Alex's mentor, that is to say, Professor Waterstone, is working on a presentation about homonym shame, which is when you have innocent nouns that have dirty homonyms. And his speech has a few examples, but he's missing one more. So I think what we're supposed to do is find something to finish his speech so that we can persuade him to give us his ticket to the letter inserter demonstration. And this is the puzzle that I was stuck on when I was last playing this game a few years ago. But I think I have a couple of ideas, like, in order to print out the copy of Professor Waterstone's speech, we had to turn some cream that was in the fridge into a ream of paper. Maybe we can take the rest of the ream out of the printer, though I'm not entirely certain if that will count. 'Cause, like, that might only be dirty if you live out in deer hunting country where, if you happen to know what, a certain item, the brand name of which is, Butt Out, you use it to seal up the back end of the intestinal tract when you're cleaning a deer. Anyway, the generic name for that thing is an anal reamer. So, reaming can be dirty in that sense, but if that doesn't work, we might use the restoration paste to turn it back into cream, and maybe that will fill our double entendre requirements. And if that doesn't work, I might be able to go back to the garden and get some more sage and repeat the trick that I did to get the gas. Because then you have gas like car fuel and gas like a fart. So with those options in mind, let's hop on in. So here's where we are right now, the Language Studies Department office. This big, slightly drab area holds such useful objects as the mailboxes and the secretary's computer. On ordinary days, the secretary would be in as well, presiding over affairs. The offices of individual professors lie north and west, though the north door is closed, the north door being Professor Waterstone's office because he locked us out. The department printer also sits on the U-shaped desk. So we're going to open printer. Get ream. Oh, maybe it's no longer a ream because it's no longer 500 pages. Okay. So that knocks out both the ream and the cream. Why don't we go back to the other professor's office and see what she thinks of the speech. Higgett's got about 30% finished with a stylish decorating scheme and then got distracted, leaving everything in an unsettled state. A few of her books are arranged on a very nice rosewood bookshelf, which looks Asian and is ornamented with small figurines. All the rest of her library is stacked higgledy-piggledy in plastic cartons. Professor Higgett is seated at her desk. We can see an oval table here. There are an ugly yellow book, a sugar bowl, a teapot, and a romance novel in some heavily accented language on the oval table. "Hello again," says Higgett, obviously disappointed to see another non-Loban speaker. Examine the yellow book. The book is bound in an ugly yellow binding and has a number of small sticky notes sticking out of it. I used to have a copy of this myself. It's uninventively called Complete Loban, and appeared with about a dozen similar texts in our Conlang survey seminar. Alright, let's see, what is our... Okay, so it's going to be called the draft document. Show draft document to Higgett. "What do you make of this?" we ask, showing off the draft document. This evokes no particular interest. "Well, okay then. I guess we're going back to my parents' villa." Okay, go to Webster Court. Here, a below the wall is a broad, plainly paved court named for the statue of Noah Webster. The large, pale pink building north of us is my, which is to say Alex's, parents' home. The streets continue south, east, and west, and just to the northeast is my parents' side garden. So we're gonna go northeast. Oh, wait, the garden was shard. I don't remember where I got the sage. I'm going to check my scroll back. It's only got a scroll back of today's session. That is unfortunate. Okay, let's try... Maybe it was on the path to the beach. Go to Roger Close. A pleasantly sheltered lane in which I learned to ride a bicycle, and where my friend Lucy used to live before she and her parents moved off island. Restrictions were looser even 20 years ago. Our old schoolhouse is just west of here. If you look just north between the houses, you'll also notice the footpath down to an almost private beach. It used to be open, but it's now gated off, and built into the gate is a chic modern sculpture. Let's go north and hope they don't make us do that again. The footpath winds between the villas, sloping steeply downward. It is narrow, and bushes left and right conceal it even from the windows of the people living nearby. Let's keep going north. This is little more than a strip of fine yellow sand, perhaps 20 meters from side to side and 5 from the hillside to the waterline. Above, at the top of the slope, are houses with balconies overlooking the sea, but from this angle it's impossible to see much of them, or for them, you'll have to take my word on this, to see us. Okay, if the sage wasn't here... Let's try, look, no, that just gives us the same description. Okay, how about we go to Hesychius Street. As the street names make obvious, this part of town was laid out in a different political age, when it was considered more important to commemorate linguistic richness than to standardize practices. Even the single farmer from earlier is now gone. All right, let's go east. Only portions of the old walls still stand, but you can walk along what remains as though you were defending the palace. They're 1.5 meters wide, made of ashlar blocks. On the vertical faces, these blocks are still rough, but underfoot they've been worn smooth by the passage of many defenders and, subsequently, tourists. One of the blocks in the wall has even been defaced, some old inscription gouged out. Down below in the distance are the docks and the sea, and immediately east of here is an old hexagonal turret. Let's keep going north. The wall once continued north from here some distance before curving northwest around the remainder of the city. So much has crumbled away, though, that the walkway is impassable north of this point. To protect citizens, there's a safety railing across the broken edge. A metal ladder of 4 rungs descends the inner face of the wall, allowing pedestrians access to the streets to the west. Let's try that then. Why don't we try going back into the shard garden? Okay. So that's not going to help me at all. Maybe there isn't any more sage. Let's try going back to the fleur door. The back wall is dramatically decorated with bottled liqueurs of all sorts, from gin to cachaça, and there's a giant bottle of Campari, taller than your average 3-year-old, with a red ribbon around its neck. What makes this place technically a drinks club rather than a bar is its license to serve letter-manufactured food and drink. A toolkit on the bar contains some screwdrivers, some gimlets, and some rusty nails, ready to be transformed into their respective cocktails. The bartender and Mark are still talking about the homonym paddle. Mark is carrying a gin and tonic. The other patrons are scattered around the room at small tables, drinking or talking among themselves. "Hello," the bartender says. "That was a little dangerous, wasn't it?" Mark asks. "If you had tapped me with that thing, wouldn't I be a giant X on the carpet now?" "Not for long," the bartender says. "I do have some restoration gel for emergencies. Or I could just hit you again with the paddle, but there would be an incident report, and I could lose my license. So, yeah, better not." Show draft document to bartender. We draw the bartender's attention to the draft document. "I don't think that would turn into anything," says the bartender. She taps it with the paddle to demonstrate. "See? No change." One of the customers comes up and asks the bartender about the toolkit, and the bartender explains what drinks they turn into. Ask bartender about homonym shame. Okay, the bartender doesn't know anything about homonym shame. Now, why don't we go back to the university? And see if first we need to go southeast to the department office again. This is the main building for language studies. The department office, with several professorial offices leading off of it, is to the southeast. To the southwest is the seminar room, where many of the upper-level courses occur, and which also contains the department library. Downstairs is the basement, where the graduate students and junior instructors are kept. On the wall hangs a framed photograph of Professor Waterstone with the words "Shapley Chair" in big letters underneath. Let's go southeast. And we're back to the description of the Language Studies Department office. Go north again. We lack a key that fits Waterstone's office door. Knock on north door. Waterstone looks up and gives a little frown. It's clear he doesn't understand why we knocked. To be honest, I'm not sure why we did either. Show draft document to Waterstone. Waterstone is unable to hear you through the closed door, which is presumably the purpose of closing it, so let's try knocking instead. Waterstone stares at the draft document, apparently not recognizing it at first. Then he picks up a marker and writes on a piece of paper, "Have you read it? Any ideas?" Having held up this sign for a minute, he crumples it and goes back to work. Let's see here. The printer's already open. Use restoration gel on paper. Okay, nothing happens. Okay, let's ask Higgett whether she encountered activists. Did you, by any chance, encounter some activists on the way into the building? We ask. I had a hard time getting in here because they wanted to talk to me about toxi waste. Yes, she says. Now those kids... If we needed proof of the social value of what we're doing here, they're a perfect example. I admire their enthusiasm, don't get me wrong, but the whole idea of single-term manipulation is hopelessly wrong-headed, and if they spent a semester or two in a language studies class, they'd understand why. Well, we can think of nothing else to say. Sugar bowl is empty. Traffic cone orange and very unattractive cartons. Figurines depict mostly characters from popular children's fiction. Professor Higgett has a particularly strong... give me a sec, someone's trying to call. Fucking robocaller. Anyway, let's go back out into the university oval. This is the center of the university, a broad grassy oval shaded with sycamore trees and surrounded by buildings in brick or white stone. Immediately south of here is the building where I spend most of my time, Samuel Johnson Hall. A sign lays on the grass, abandoned by its owner. And I don't think there's anything I'd be able to do to that sign. Let's see, what about Monument Green? In contrast with the parks in the more savory parts of town, this is a bit of patchy grass where the local dogs occasionally come out to do their business. A granite war memorial is fixed at the center. A twig lies in the grass. Let's see, what all can I interact with? Look carefully. There's patchy grass and a twig. It's growing in dry, flat tufts from dusty earth. And I'm not going to be able to do anything to that grass. What about the twig? Because maybe I can turn the twig into a wig, and I wonder if to wig out would be rude enough for Professor Waterstone. Use tea remover on twig. We reset the device to tea with the distinct whiff of the faintest whiff of shampoo. The twig turns into a wig, a surprisingly realistic wig, cut to about the shoulder. It looks like our hair, but a good bit longer. Take wig. I'll put that in our backpack for now. Let's go southeast to the bus station. A currently desolate depot from which buses run seasonally to Mayana, the island's other major town. The old station building is a low, rectilinear edifice from the 60s, all pebbled concrete and sheet glass. But it's shut, leaving accessible only a series of empty bus bays and a wall-mounted schedule. The public convenience to the east is the only thing open, while the area to the northwest is open parkland. A dove flutters from one surface to another, occasionally stopping to stare at us. A shed, rather ramshackle and unlikely, sits on the pavement where it ought to be in the way of oncoming buses. Look at dove. It is pure white, probably a refugee from a group released at a wedding. People do occasionally get married on Serial Comma Day. Okay, why don't we go to... Go back to the hall. Go back. Let's try looking in the seminar room. Oh, we don't have a key for the seminar room. Curses. Waterstone looks up from his work long enough to give us an irritated glare. He seems to get that we're trying to show him the wig, but as it is not related to the concept of homonym shame, it's not much help with his paper, so he probably doesn't want to be distracted. Well, shit. So that didn't work. Let's try going down. The basement, dank and malodorous. There are no windows here, and the drainage is terrible. The stairs up are here, the lecture room at the east. Immediately south is the graduate student office, and southwest is Professor Brown's office. The most interesting of all is the small door west, trying to look inconspicuous, but locked with a keycard lock. It's where the department stores its most dangerous licensed equipment. A large carton stands against the wall right between Brown's lab door and the interesting door. Recycling, reads the sign over the carton. Place your lab-created items here for processing. There's a banana in the large carton. And I remember we looked at the banana with the monocle, and it was originally a bandana. Even that's not going to help us. Let's go back into the lecture room. The main lecture hall used for large survey courses in language studies offered to undergraduates. I sat through courses here when I was an undergraduate myself, and have now delivered a few lectures as a teaching assistant. The room extends south, full of hard wooden seats. Abandoned on one near the back is a coat. A poster at the front of the room announces a conference on cultural reactions to linguistic change. It is being held in Nice the day after tomorrow, with Professor Waterstone as keynote speaker on the topic of homonym shame. Wonder what would happen if we save before doing this, because it might be a little bit risky. What I'm going to do is use C remover on coat. We reset the device to C. There's a distinct spearmint flavor, and the coat turns into an oat. It's hard to get a good look at the oat from this distance. Take oat. We take the oat. A single dry cut oat. Well, at least it's a dry cut oat instead of a rolled oat. Maresy dotes and dozy dotes and little lambs eat ivy. A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? And maybe a dove'll eat a note, and maybe something will happen with the dove. So let's go back to the bus station. Feed oat to dove. The dove regards us mutely. Show oat to dove. The dove cocks its head. Give oat to dove. The dove blinks. Drop oat. We put down the oat. Let's try wait. Alright, I don't think the dove's gonna eat that out. So I guess we'll just use restoration gel on oat. Put coat in backpack. Let's try east to the public convenience. There are just the 2 toilet stalls and a couple of sinks, but the place has been kept reasonably well, if one doesn't count the graffiti. About knee-high in one of the stalls is a hole that runs right through the wall between the men's and women's restrooms. The hole contains some trash. A soap dispenser hangs beside the mirror. Examine the soap dispenser. It's the kind where a squeeze will dispense new soap into the sink. Okay, I don't think that helped me any. Let's try going back to Tall Street. Tall Street is very quiet. No celebrations have reached this far, and neither is there any business today, so it has an air of dull abandonment. At the east end, the street bends around to go to a park rarely visited. Our car is parked nearby. To the south is the important blue rotunda of the Bureau of Orthography. The street runs west towards the busy roundabout. Let's go west and see if there's anything in the roundabout that we can use. But first let's close our backpack to make sure that all of our illicit goodies are hidden. Oh, it's already closed. Okay, let's continue west. We are jammed into the car with our knees almost at our chin, looking through the bulbous little windshield. The motor is growling like a house cat with pneumonia. The traffic flows in a tight circle around a statue, which we know all too well. Confusing signs point in various directions: northeast to Deep Street, northwest to High Street, south to Long Street, east to Tall Street. The car is making an unpleasant raspy growl. Examine statue. It is, curiously, easier to get a sense of from a distance than it was close up in the traffic circle. Kind of a 19th century French style of thing. Flowing bronze robes, one breast naked, plump fingers clasping an olive branch. But we can't stop and stare at it with the traffic the way it is. Okay, let's go. Maybe. Let's go south from here. Long Street is lined on each side with a double row of tall, anemic palm trees that bend towards one another many feet overhead. This corridor continues some considerable distance south. On the west side of the street is the several-story front of the Fleur d'Or Hotel. We can go north to the roundabout, south to Long Street South, and west to the Fleur d'Or lobby from here. The car is making an unpleasant raspy growl. Examine trees. The only foliage comes in a clump high above. The effect is distorted and unnatural, and I say that having lived with them all my life. They are trees in the same sense that ostriches are birds. Let's go back into the hotel. The spotlights in the ceiling light in the floor The spotlights in the ceiling light the floor in distinct pools of bureau blue, and a sheet of frosted glass etched with random letters separates the lobby from the drinks club to the west. There is no one at the glossy piano in the corner. On the piano bench is a pick. Why don't we put restoration? Use restoration gel on pick. And that'll turn it back into a piece of music. We dip out a pea-sized quantity of the gel and rub it gently onto the pick. With an audible splort, the pick becomes a piece. We take it. Alright. What do we have with us right now? I've got a clock, a coat, a draft document, a fossil, a funnel, a guidebook to Anglophone Atlantis, a key which opens the apartment door, a leaflet, a letter, a map of Slangovia, a May, some members. Oh, wait just a second. I think that's it. The members were the miniature parliament members from the diorama. So maybe we can use that. Okay, let's just close backpack. Go to Samuel Johnson Hall. Southeast. Open backpack. Show members to Professor Waterstone. Waterstone glares at the members. Then he picks up a marker and writes on a piece of paper. Yes, but how to change its name to something innocent? Having held up the sign for a minute, he crumples it and goes back to work. If he were a cartoon, there would be a thundercloud over his laptop. I wonder if we need to ask the bartender if we can borrow her, paddle. So why don't we go back to the fleur door? Check this out, we say, holding out the members for inspection. The bartender takes a look and smirks. Honey, it would be too small to see, she says. In fact, I'm not sure you're even supposed to have that. Oh my. Okay. Ask bartender to borrow paddle. Okay. That's frustrating. Why don't we read the draft document again? It's 15 pages double-spaced and appears to be a draft of a talk Professor Waterstone is preparing to give at a convention. I immediately notice, however, that several portions of the speech are marked with angry triple asterisks, Waterstone's way of marking up parts of the text that need serious revision. The talk concerns homonym shame, the anxiety felt in the Victorian era and still manifested at times in modern culture about objects that shared the same name as, and therefore theoretically might be converted into, something rude. Methods of disguising the legs of pianos and crotches of trees occupy a good portion of Waterstone's exposition, and there is a page-long aside on methods of making sure that donkeys are known by that name and not by the alternative. To judge, however, from the angry asterisking, Waterstone is still looking for at least one more example of an object susceptible to double entendre that has been successfully rendered innocent by some linguistic modification. Oh dear, oh dear. What else have I got in my inventory? Let's go back and maybe try the piece. Uh-oh. We draw the bartender's attention to the piece. I think that would make a handgun, which would be illegal around here, she says. Okay, so I guess that wouldn't be helpful. The toolkit offers an assortment, some screwdrivers, some gimlets, and some rusty nails. Mark looks thoughtfully into his gin and tonic. I hear that sometimes the Bureau turns people into inanimate objects as a criminal sentence. Is that true? For the first time, the bartender looks uncomfortable. I just pour the drinks, she says. Hey, you're almost out there. Let me give you a refill. And she busies herself getting down the Bombay Sapphire and refilling his drink. You ever attempted to paddle the Sapphire? Mark asks. Should be worth a lot. Alas, jewelers tend to check for authenticity around here, she replies. Nope. Still nothing useful there. But what if we try showing the piece to Professor Waterstone? Maybe... just the fact that it could have been a handgun, but is instead a music score, will be enough for him. Can I just call him Waterstone so I don't have to type out Professor every time? Waterstone is unable to hear you through the closed door, which is presumably the purpose of closing it, so let's try knocking instead. Waterstone barely glances away from his typing this time. He seems to get that we're trying to show him the piece, but it's not something his original sounded dirty, so presumably that's not a lot of help with the paper. Okay, that's not helping. I may need an eensy-weensy little invisiclue. Just a teensy little brain boost so that I don't bore you all with me trying to maybe if it'll just show me which room I need to be in, that would be enough. Okay. Our buddy, the Invisiclues, says the object I need is a living creature. Okay. I think I know what I need to do now. Okay. So I've got a coat, and maybe since I'm, maybe with my letter remover able to work abstract concepts, I might be able to make an abstract representation of a cat, and that would get around the restriction against creating living creatures. So let's use O remover on coat. Ah, god damn it. We reset the device to O, the coat flickers, and there's a brief image of a cat in its place, but a legal override kicks in. It's hardware crippled to prevent generating any living creature. Let's try talking to Professor Brown again about that stuff. Professor Brown, the reification of abstracts researcher, is hunched over his work table. He is wearing steel-rimmed spectacles and a worn leather jacket. "Don't touch anything, please," he says, without looking up. Oh, open backpack. Show coat to Professor Brown. Okay. Well, we can still ask him a few things, like... Let's try the asking what he thinks of Waterstone one. "Did you get along with Professor Waterstone?" we ask. He's silent for a minute. Then he says, "Once Professor Waterstone gave me a conch shell. He said I could remove it and settle the dispute about the afterlife once and for all." This is not an anecdote I've heard before, but that sounds like a typical Waterstonian way of sending someone to blazes. "What did you say?" I make us ask. I pointed out that in the phrase conch shell, conch is a strongly adhering adjective, so that actually you can't make a conch shell into much of anything, and moreover that reifications merely represent an amalgam of the most common beliefs about an abstract, rather than having any essential truth value. Brown sniffs. He didn't have a comeback to that. We want to ask why Waterstone gave him the conch shell. "Do you have any idea why Professor Waterstone, offered you the conch shell?" Brown twitches. "I was just in his office talking to him. Suddenly, he got testy and sarcastic and gave me the shell. Some of the department here don't have very good people skills." Okay. Ask what he thinks of Higgett. "What do you think of Professor Higgett?" we ask. He gives a convulsive jerk of the shoulders. "She's okay," he says. "She comes down here a lot, and she keeps trying to get me to join her conversational Loban tea. And I don't much see the point of her research, but I don't hate her or anything." Okay. Ask what he thinks of me. So, there's a guy who I think is a graduate student here, Alex Rosehip. Do you know him? This startles Brown enough that he turns around and looks at us. There's a curiously wary look in his eyes, and it hits me. He's worried. See, about a month ago, I was down here talking to Brown, and I let slip some general hints about what I've been working on. And I had the impression that, for once, he was listening. When I was done with the very rough outlines, he told me to be careful. Really, really careful. Not just on the island, but in the outside world too, because there were a lot of people who wouldn't want a plan like that to succeed. "I know all the graduate students," he replies, turning another knob with his equipment, until his equipment gives a high-pitched whine. "There is no functional purpose to that knob," he confessed once, "other than to make strangers and idiots think they're interrupting a dangerous test. I'm not supervising his research, if that's what you mean. His advisor is Professor Waterstone." Ask what he thinks of the academic job market. "How's the job search going?" we ask. "Are you still considering moving?" He looks confused, so I have us hastily add, "I heard from one of the graduate students that you were on the market." "Yes, Well, he replies in a tortoise-like voice you've heard often before. Under recent circumstances, it is unlikely that I would receive a visa to work elsewhere. Nonetheless, I do send out the applications every fall, just in case the contract does not get renewed. Sometimes I even get a telephone interview or two. I'd like to wish Professor Brown luck. Okay then. Wish Professor Brown luck. Well, good luck with that. At this point, I need some kind of major change in the universe more than I need luck. He stops and stares into the middle distance through the green spectacles. Then he bends over the work table and scribbles something in tiny writing on one of the scraps of paper there. Sorry, he says. Had a thought. Ask about thought. No? Look at writing. Look at scrap. Look carefully. We can think of no valid conversation topics. Look at spectacles. They have tiny oval lenses, tilted green. Brown seems to be simultaneously cultivating the image of rebel, age 17, and absent-minded professor, age 65. Examine jacket. A moderately cool sort of bomber jacket look, except that the elbows have given out and the cuffs are unraveling. Okay. Okay. May need to get just a little more into the invis clues. Okay, so I need to get into the rectification room, which is west of the basement, but I need a key card. Where can I get a key card? How do I get into the seminar room? Okay, I need to go back to Alex's apartment. I should point out my copy of The Problem of Adjectives. I should have taken it back to the library. I meant to take it back to the library, but there just wasn't time. The last couple of hours before I came to meet you were frantic. The way I figured it, my parents or someone will come looking for me, and they'll take it back for me, I think. I'd apologize for the mess, but should we really be here? I'm reconciled to leaving all my things behind, you know. You made me promise that I didn't mind. Okay, well, let's take book. Three. We take the problem of adjectives. Might as well return it to the department seminar room as long as we're going that way. All right. I think Thinkety-thinkety-think. That should be as far as I need to go in the Invisiclues. And then we can go back to trying to solve it on our own. Go to Higgett's office. We're about to when the door to the street opens and my mother walks into the room. She shuts it behind her and puts away her key before she notices us. Then she stands very still. For about a quarter of a second, she considers calling the police, but I can see that worry passing away again as she takes in our clothing, age, and general demeanor. "Hi there," she says, coming forward to take our hand. "I'm Mrs. Rosehip, Alex Rosehip's mother. You must be a friend of his?" "I'd like to say we're his girlfriend." Yes, sort of. We've been on a few dates." "That's you, and I have to say you don't sound as keen on dating ourself as you might." She raises her eyebrows. "I see. How secretive of him not to bring you around. And where is Alex now? I need to speak with him. He's been hard to reach lately. I know you think it's a bit sketchy that my mother just walks into my apartment when I'm not around, but I swear to you she's never done that before. She must be more worried about something than she's letting on." I'd like to claim we've seen him this morning, or say we don't know. Let's just save first. All right. In order to be less likely to dig ourselves into our own grave of lies, maybe it'll be easier to say we don't know than to say we've seen him this morning. "I don't know," we say. "A communicative couple, then," she says dryly. "My mother has never been very nice to girlfriends she considered stupid." Mother picks her way to the refrigerator, which she opens, revealing only some yogurt. "Evidently not planning to have dinner at home this evening," she comments. "We could explain that we might go out." "We were thinking of going out." "Were you?" she says lightly. "Then you're definitely going to see him this evening. Or do you have reservations?" "There, see, I wish you wouldn't embellish on your own." We could claim he didn't say. He didn't tell me. I assume he'll explain later?" She gives the refrigerator door a little push, and it swings closed. "How well do you know him?" Mother asks. She immediately catches herself and adds, "I'm not inquiring into the details of your relationship, but I am concerned about him. He has seemed very unhappy recently about his work. Has he said anything to you about that, wanting to leave the program or change careers or anything?" I didn't think she'd noticed. Let's reassure Mother. "I think it's graduate school getting to him a bit," we lie. "I'm pretty sure this is what my mother thinks. She has little time for whining or sulking, and I believe she considers any ideological queasiness I may have exhibited to be just malingering about research that is not going well." "Really?" she says. I would like her to go on, but she doesn't, because it would be indiscreet, because she doesn't trust us. Mother appears to be meditating about our watch. "Well," Mother says, "I'd better go. If you do see Alex, tell him to call me, please. It isn't an emergency, but you can tell him there's a bit of bureau business I'd like to discuss with him." We nod, and suddenly it's borne in on me that this may be the last I see of my mother in a lifetime, and I'm trying to memorize the exact cut of her hair and the way her expensive Italian heels tap on the floor. And meanwhile, she's going out completely indifferent to the moment. I could have stood for our previous meeting to be the last one. We had dinner, and she hugged me goodbye then. This makes it all much worse. And you're nattering at me in her head, asking what she meant about the bureau. It might be, I guess, that they've been watching me and she got wind of it. That would be likely, but if so, it doesn't matter. Not anymore. She's not even visible through the window any longer. Alright. Now that she's gone, let's go back to Professor Higgett's office. You're back, Higgett says, putting aside her novel. Ask how we might return a book. I need to return this book to the department library, we say, holding out the problem of adjectives. Oh, yes, all right. Did you like it? It's a good overview of the subject, didn't you think? I'm afraid the author once annoyed Professor Waterstone at a conference, or we might have had her around to speak at one of our colloquial... Higgett stands, patting herself down, as though worried she has forgotten something. After you, says Higgett. I assume it's safe to leave for a minute. If anyone is coming for Loban tea, we'll see them in the hall. She walks past us through the office door. We walk a little behind Higgett, who has a very long, businesslike stride, despite her heels. She fiddles with her keys for a moment before finding the right one. Here you go, she says, pushing the door open. Language Studies Seminar Room. They recently redid this room, and whoever picked the decorations had postmodern tastes. Professor Higgett waits a little absent-mindedly nearby, looking over the bookshelf. On the bookshelf are The History of the Standards Revolution and Lives of the Lexicographers. A massive plexiglass case takes up one corner of the room. There is a compact but high-powered late-model synthesizer in the plexiglass case. The big table at the center of the room is an irregular polygon, with one chair pushed up to the shortest side. I think the shape is intended to undermine the traditional conceptions of academic hierarchy, but in practice it just means that whoever gets to seminar late has to sit with a table angle jabbing him in the stomach. My score has gone up by 3 points and is now 51. Yay. Let's save. Again. Put problem of adjectives on bookshelf. We take a moment to find the proper place for the book. The sound of discussion comes from down the hall, two voices speaking in Loban, and then a male voice interrupting. Do you have a license for this conversation? It asks. Excuse me, Higgett says. I'd better go see to that. She waves and heads back northeast. My score has gone up by 2 points and is now 53. Wow, 2 points for returning a library book. Though maybe that's 1 point for returning the book and 1 point for getting Professor Higgett to leave me alone for a second. Alone in the room with the synthesizer. Let's examine synthesizer. It is designed to accept 2 items and then be turned on. It is shiny and white and looks a little like a bathtub for very short people. In the synthesizer is a crossword. It was a full-sized human version of this that made us what we are now, so the object makes both of us feel a little skittish and self-conscious. Let's see here, inventory. Okay, maybe if we're lucky, we'll be able to get back in. If we're not, we might have to reload our save before we got to the professor's office. But let's go to Palm Square. Look at... Okay, all right, we need to go to Long Street to find our car. Let's use restoration gel on car. As I remember, it used to be a card. Or, no, it used to be shard. And now we need to turn it back into a card so that we can combine it with a key and get a key card. Use H remover on shard. We reset the device to H. The shard gives way to the card. This time it's the magician. A man stands over a table of delicate instruments. Letter razors, reversing mirrors, decapitalization disambiguators. He is putting on a performance, though we cannot see his audience. The magician. What are the connotations of the magician? I'm gonna look that up. Just, tarot. The magician. Symbolism. The Magician card is numbered 1, the number of new beginnings and opportunities, and associates with the planet of Mercury. He has access to unlimited potential, and the array of foliage symbolizes the blossoming and fruition of his ideas and aspirations. Take card. Go to conference room. Alright, here we are in the seminar room again. I shut the door so that we don't get interrupted. Alright. Let's see here. Put apartment key and card and synthesizer. Oh, look at synthesizer. Remove crossword. Oh, open case. We lack a key that fits the plexiglass case. So now the problem is we need a key for the synthesizer. See if there's anything in our code. Okay, no keys in our coat. Maybe we can go back and talk to Professor Brown about the synthesizer. Or see if one of the grad students left a key. Examine cubicles. No? The sticky just says, please be careful, the blue hats are watching you. Okay, that wasn't a helpful place to be. Let's try going back to Professor Brown's. Maybe our ring will open it. Let's go back to the seminar room. Look at table. Crafted from some exotic wood with lots of interesting burl structure. There was a wealthy donor behind the construction of this room. Okay. Look at chair. It is an ordinary, inexpensive variety of chair made locally and found around the island in great numbers. Look at synthesizer. It looks like it's been snipped out of Shard Farmers Weekly, but it hasn't been filled in at all. We tried contriving to get an edge of the ring into the slot of the screws, but the ring just slips around unhelpfully. There's a reason they make screwdrivers for this. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back to the Fleur d'Or and order a screwdriver. And then ask her to paddle it so that I can just get a screwdriver. Well then. Hi there, the bartender says. The bartender pours a pink beverage for one of the customers, preparing the rim with a bit of flamed orange peel. Ask for a screwdriver. We order a screwdriver. One of the customers comes up and asks the bartender about the toolkit, and the bartender explains what drinks they turn into. Mark sips his gin and tonic, and there's time to see to our order. The bartender fishes around in the toolkit for a screwdriver and sets it on the bar with a flourish. Mark is watching the transaction in an interested way. "This is good," says the bartender, winking at us both. All. "You'll like this." She raises the homonym paddle unnecessarily high in the air and smashes it down hard on the screwdriver. There is a crackling discharge of purple-toned lightning, and in place of the screwdriver, a cocktail of the same name now sits on the bar. A few of the customers applaud. Just the way you were imagining it. Guaranteed. I don't think Arnaja makes drinking such a good idea. "What do we think of this?" we ask, pointing to the screwdriver. "Don't get any of the screwdriver on the merchandise," says the bartender. We don't dare invade the personal space of the bartender. How do I get just a normal screwdriver? I wonder... Maybe I won't use the screwdriver. Maybe let's try... Look at case. The case is made of very thick protective plastic on a metal frame. It is thoroughly locked shut. I don't think we'll have any luck with normal forms of approach. However, plexiglass is a cuttable substance with the right tools, and then there are the screws at the back. Okay, I wonder if we use an S remover on the screws, will we get a crew as in a crew cut shirt, maybe? Oh, nope. Okay. On the bookshelf are the project Problem of Adjectives, History of the Standards Revolution, and Lives of the Lexicographers. What all can I interact with? Golly, this is just busting my brain. Okay. What can I do? Go. Let's try south again. There's a tiny refrigerator which stores lunches sometimes. Coffee maker. Swivel chair. Water cooler. There's a sticky on a swivel chair. Let's open fridge. We open the tiny refrigerator, revealing a silver platter. On the silver okay, evidently the platter is left over from a department function, and no one has bothered with doing the dishes. On the silver platter are a crumpled cocktail napkin and a shrimp tail. It's trash. Why it wound up being archived in the refrigerator is anyone's guess. There's no meat left, just the remains of one shrimp tail with the flesh bitten off. And none of that's going to help me either. Let's try going to Professor Brown's office again. Nope. Let's try going back to the apartment one more time and see if there's anything else left around here I can use. It's an efficiency. Note the kitchen area with all the usual appliances in one corner. My mother attempted to provide a microwave, rice cooker, toaster, waffle iron, and julienne fry maker, but I pointed out that these objects would triple populate the 2 square feet of available counter space. My futon is on the floor in the opposite corner. On the counter are the Journal of Third World Economics and Studies in Primary Language Acquisition. Strictly speaking, more of a futon mattress. It doesn't have a frame. Something makes you think of how it started with Brock. Brock was sprawled out on the cushions with his sunglasses on, pretending not to see you. You stood so that your shadow crossed his face and he had to look up. "I've been a jerk and I'm sorry," you say. "I'm not the man whore of Babylon," he replied. "I've had the odd fling, that's all." "I know. I'm not James Bond here." You pulled your towel more tightly around you. "I know. And you've lost the right to ever give me crap about women again," he said. Your teeth were starting to chatter. "Yes. Okay, apology accepted." He lowered his sunglasses again. "Then we're back in the present." Okay, so that wasn't useful. Examine kitchen. I have a sink, a stove, a refrigerator, cabinets, a countertop, the usual. Nothing special about the sink. It's an older gas range, but it's clean and it's good at stir fries. Okay, how about the refrigerator? We open the refrigerator, revealing some yogurt. Okay, not useful. We open the kitchen cabinet, which turns out to be empty. Let's see, we still have the counter to look at, right? The counter has 2 drawers. Neither are open. Open. Okay, let's start with the upper drawer. Look in upper drawer. Upper drawer is empty. Open. Okay. Close upper drawer. Open lower drawer. We open the lower drawer of the counter. Look in lower drawer. The lower drawer is empty. Well, that was profoundly unhelpful. What about the cafe? Through many changes of management, this institution has fed the denizens of the university and ignored their semi-sedition. A clerk in a white apron stands behind the long glass case. There are a pocket bread, a wrap, and a honey pastry triangle in the long glass case. The tables are square wooden things, painted dark blue, not the vibrant blue of the bureau, but something closer to midnight. And the wait. I had a thought. Remember that abandoned, abandoned shopping bag? Because I remember the abandoned shopping bag. It had a jigsaw. A jigsaw. Now, where was that? Go to Tall Street. Maybe it was Deep Street? Or the bus station. Okay, it's not there. Long Street South. Let's take the jigsaw. For that matter, why don't we take the ball? Let's show the ball to Professor Waterstone. He seems to get that we're trying to show him the ball, but is not something whose original sounded dirty. I suppose because it's a singular ball. That's not a lot of help with the paper. Okay, so we just have a ball for later. Go back to the Drinks Club. The bartender pours someone a daiquiri with plastic monkeys clinging to the side of the glass. Show jigsaw to bartender. What do you make of this? We ask, showing off the jigsaw. She shrugs good-naturedly, hits the jigsaw with the paddle, and grins at us. We look down at what we're holding. It's a portable power saw with the ability to slice right through wood or plastic. DeWalt cordless, if you're interested, with a massive battery. There we go. Let's take the jigsaw. We already have it. Okay. Boop, boop, ba-doo. For safety, I shut the door behind us. Okay, let's save. Use jigsaw on case. Okay, turn on jigsaw. Cut case with jigsaw. It's not a silent process, but it's not as loud as I had feared either. The jigsaw cuts straight through the plexiglass, freeing it from its attachment to the locking mechanism. There's a continuous angry whine from the jigsaw. Turn off jigsaw. Put jigsaw in backpack. Just so that we can close our backpack and hide it later. Open case. Thanks to our earlier efforts, the plexiglass is now open permanently. Remove crossword. We aren't wearing the crossword. Okay, take crossword. Put key and card in synthesizer. Key. Voices from the hallway. I freeze. For a moment, we hear them all too sharply. You check downstairs, I'll ask the professors. It's a conversation of security guards or police or bureau officers. Someone is being looked for. Then it's over. Done. Card. Done. Turn on synthesizer. The synthesizer hums like a microwave oven for 43 seconds. Then pings. Inside, there's a key card. an electronic pass card with a powerful looking stripe down the back side. My score has gone up. Alright. Put pass card, key card in backpack. Close backpack. Save. Now we can go to the northeast, to the down, to the use keycard unlock. Open backpack. Use keycard unlock. Maybe we can just go west. We pick up the keycard. We unlock the small door with a swipe of the keycard. We open the small door. Before we go through the door to the rectification room, it occurs to us that Professor Brown is just next door, and he is likely to be able to hear if we do anything in here. Perhaps some kind of masking noise is in order. Okay, well, let's just turn on Jigsaw. Set Jigsaw. Drop Jigsaw. We set the jigsaw in the carton where it ought to provide a helpful distraction for the time being. And there is a continuous angry whine from the jigsaw. Alright. Go west again. The rectification room. This is where equipment is brought for a tune-up, or to have its legal limits reinstalled, or on rare occasions removed. Access to these abilities is tightly controlled by the Bureau. The reclamation machine stands near the door, ready to improve forbidden objects for the use of registered departmental users. It's very ordinary looking, a simple machine with leads able to attach to various linguistic equipment and to read and rewrite the programming. Attach leads to letter remover. Okay. The opening is controlled by the computer portion of the machine. It can't just be forced open. Okay, look at computer. Turn on computer. A box on the screen invites us to type a password to proceed. Shit. So we need a way to guess the password. Do I know the password? Password incorrect. Type. What kinds of things might the password have been? Maybe we should have tried turning on the secretary's computer first. Okay. Well, depending on how things go, we might have to reload a save, but, let's try going back here. Then let's go back up. Go southeast. Examine computer. Turn on computer. The secretary's computer wants a password too. Examine desk. Okay, that was completely unhelpful. Okay, Hickett is busy. So we need to figure out how to guess the damn password. Oh gods, I'm wasting so many turns with this. Let's try examining the other books on the bookshelf. Maybe someone was careless and left a password in one of the books. maybe I need to... use restoration gel on crossword. Look at word. At the moment, the word is Anne, floating about in handsome Garamond lettering. Put pass and word in synthesizer. Nope, that didn't work. I was hoping that I could put my pass and a word in there and make a password. I wonder if my pastis can do something. I'll take the key card. I'll leave the word in there because I might be able to do something with it. No. I don't think I can make removing one letter at a time pastis into a pass. This is hard. Okay, let's... It covers every minute detail. Covers in every minute detail the process by which the island standardized spelling and leveraged its linguistic power. History of the Standards Revolution is one of those bog standard texts that everyone in my field owns a copy of and uses as a doorstop. Very occasionally, something still arises that I need to look up, but I just about memorized it in preparation for my comprehensive exams. Okay. Look at Lives of the Lexicographers. It is a substantial history of the major contributors to the art of dictionary creation, and a useful guide to the specialist bibliography on each figure. Oh. Have to figure out what the gosh dang password is. I'm just gonna try some... words. Let's try. Okay, not Zizzy. Not Plu. And not Plover. Well, good golly gosh, that was all of the ones that I could try. We may need our old buddy Invisiclues again to tell us where to look for a password. Oh. I could have used restoration gel, apparently, on the screwdriver drink to put it back into a regular one. But I have the jigsaw. I'm somehow already carrying the object I need to make a pass. I'm carrying a backpack, a flash drive, a monocle, some origin paste, a pan, plans, a roll, my S remover, and a tub of restoration gel. I am also carrying a ball, a band, a clock, a coat, a cross, a draft document, a fossil, a funnel, guide to Anglophone Atlantis, the key card, the leaflet, the letter, the map of Slangovia, the May, some members, a pastis, a piece, a ring, a ticket, a watch, and a wig. Oh. Now that I can make abstract objects, the pastas can become a past, and then the pasts can become the pass. Okay. Let's go back to the synthesizer room one more time. I hate wasting turns like this. But what can you do? Up. Southwest. Okay. Use eye remover on pastis. We reset the device to eye. There's a peach cloud, and the pastis turns into some pasts. It looks from the side like a shard of glass, but seen straight on, it captures previous events. At the moment, it is replaying us approaching Samuel Johnson Hall. Use T remover on pastis. Pasts. We reset the device to T. There is a flash of psychedelic colors, and the pasts turn into a pass. A Bureau of Orthography visiting pass, a very valuable commodity in these parts. Forging one is grounds for imprisonment. There is a picture on the front that looks more or less like us, though with considerably more hair. So I bet if we put on the wig, we may have to uncreate and recreate that pass to get into the Bureau of Orthography at some point. But for now, we're just going to put pass in synthesizer, turn on synthesizer. The synthesizer hums like a microwave oven for 43 seconds and then pings. Inside, there is a password. A glowing series of numbers and figures in the air, which changes and flickers now and then, probably responding to its surroundings. It seems unstable just now. Take password. We take the password. Now let's go north, east again, down, west, use password on computer. Under the influence of the reclamation computer, the password is settled and it now reads 4TSAJ39 and BTZ. Type 4TSAJ39 and BTZ. The password field vanishes. At the top of the screen is the message Status, removing legal limits on animal creation. Yes. The following options are visible on the screen. Yes, we want removing the animal creation limits. Type 4. The reclamation machine slides open. The computer gives a warning noise that appears to mean, if you're really sure, okay. Put letter remover in machine. We drop the letter remover through the machine. There's a brief flash and hum from the machine, just as though it were making a photocopy. Then, a recording of a woman's voice speaks, loudly and cheerily, lifting legal limits now. A point that might draw undesired attention our way if it weren't masked by the noise outside. The letter remover comes out again, looking exactly the same as when it went in, but it should now be able to make living creatures at need. The reclamation machine clanks shut. The security program comes up again on screen. Now turn off computer. And we can take our letter remover. Okay, good, we still have it. All right, now we'll go east, and we'll go up, and we'll save. Okie dokie dokie. Now we have our coat and we have our letter remover. Use letter remover on, we have to make it an O remover. Use O remover on coat. We reset the device to O. We pick up the coat. With a distinct whiff of clean animal, the coat turns into a cat. Full-grown, American, and a little stupid as felines go. Show cat to Professor Waterstone. Okay. No. I have to go southeast first. Okay, now show cat. First, I may want to close my backpack. Show cat to Professor Waterstone. Seems that we're trying to show him the cat, but it is not something whose original sounded dirty. Okay, so that wasn't... So making a pussy wasn't the answer. I just have a cat now. Do I still have my clock, though? Yes, good. I still have a clock. So if the answer wasn't pussy, it had better damn well be cock. We reset the device to L. We acquire the clock. With a distinct whiff of something objectionable, the clock turns into a cock. It stares back at us malevolently through one eye. The cock clucks. The cock lets out a half crow. Show cock to Professor Waterstone. We're gonna show Professor Waterstone our cock. Waterstone glares at the cock. Then he picks up a marker and writes on a piece of paper, "Now you're just taunting me." Having held up this sign for a minute, he crumples it and goes back to work. If he were a cartoon, there would be a thundercloud over his laptop. The cock clucks. Waterstone glares at the cock. Then he picks up a marker and writes on a piece of paper, "Please go away." Having held up this sign for a minute, he crumples it and goes back to work. If he were a cartoon, there would be a thundercloud over his laptop. The cock lets out a half crow. And then I'm just going to drop the cock. And we'll just go back. Now let's look at the secretary's computer. Look at password. Under the influence of the secretary's computer, the password has settled down and now reads, "Brown is hot." The password field vanishes. We can type search terms to look for data records. Okay. Search Alex Rosehip. No record found. Okay, search Professor Waterstone. That might well be resented. The search turns up the following results. Brown's homepage. Professor Brown's homepage describes an assortment of personal interests I doubt very much he has time to pursue, such as salsa dancing, before delving into an impenetrable description of his research aims and goals. The cock clucks. No records found. Search Bureau of... Oh, wait, let's search Professor Higgett first. Higgett's homepage. Professor Higgett's homepage is illustrated by a picture of herself smiling enigmatically out in the university oval, followed by links for various courses she teaches, such as Interlingua and Advanced Klingon Certification. There is also a long bit praising the value of learning constructed languages, and a scanned copy of her bureau stamp of certification to use and teach non-English tongues. The cock clucks. Oh, Professor, I showed you my cock. Please respond. No records found. Searching myself just shows all the equipment. Okay. Nope. Maybe I can just, oh dear, what do I do now? See if... Nope, he's not printing another document. Let's save again. And now let's just do something you don't much do here. Let's just wait and see what happens. Time passes, the cock clucks. Time passes, the cock lets out a half crow. Okay, no. Nothing's happening. Waterstone looks up and gives a little frown. It's clear he doesn't know why we knocked. To be honest, I'm not sure why we did either. Waterstone is unable to hear you. We only get a momentary flicker of attention. Perhaps we should take another look at the draft and think about what might interest him. Nope, that just did the same thing. Well, I tried showing him my cock, I tried showing him my pussy, I don't know what else I can do here. Without removing any letters, I now need to make the cock something innocent. So I need to synthesize the cock apparently with another object. Oh, okay. Alright, so let's just take my baby rooster. We're going to go back to the basement. South. Open refrigerator. Take tail. We take the shrimp tail. Go back north. And then go back up. Southwest. Put cock and tail in synthesizer. The cock makes some attempts to flutter out of the synthesizer, but doesn't get much lift and gives up for the moment. Now to do something rather unethical. The synthesizer hums like a microwave oven for 43 seconds, then pings. Inside, there is a shrimp cocktail, a floridly red concoction of tiny shrimps in sauce. I've always considered it vulgar. We get the shrimp cocktail. Waterstone looks at the shrimp cocktail, briefly arrested by some thought. He gets a monocle like mine out of his drawer. He looks through it at the shrimp cocktail, notes the cock and the shrimp tail, and grins. He gets up and comes out of his office. "This is perfect," he says. "One more example to put into my talk, but I really should be going. Should be able to get a ride from my wife, if I leave now. Here, you can have this if it interests you. I won't have time to use it." He sets an invitation down on the desk. "Come back and talk to me again later," he adds. "We can discuss your goals as a student. And now I really have to go. Should have gone hours ago." There, see? He can be a nice man, more or less. He locks his door again and goes out. I think he is actually humming something. Before we can do anything, Waterstone pops his head back in. "What you did there, not strictly within the rules, but I admire the, shall we say, realpolitik. You'll go far. Ignore Brown, but you'd probably do that anyway. Never talk to Higgett at all. I will see you later." And he pops back out. Take invitation. We acquire the invitation. It is a white card, like a wedding invitation with swirly script lettering. You are invited, it says, to a demonstration of a new tea inserter, not available to the general public. Serial Comedy, Bureau of Orthography. Smaller, meaner, sans serif lettering across the bottom adds, "Bring this card for admission." Your score has gone up by 10 points. And is now 70. And here we are going to save. And I think that's a good place to leave off for today. Thank you all for visiting me in the Galactic Paddock. As always, I have been Sheep Saber, and y'all come back now, you hear?